One evening, Elias returned to the building to find a black automobile idling at the curb, incongruous among the horse-drawn wagons and pushcarts. The car was polished to a shine that reflected the flickering streetlights, a dark beast of luxury and power. Elias stopped in the shadow of a doorway, his heart hammering against his ribs. He knew that car. It was the carriage of his father's secretary. He could not go up the stairs. To enter the building now would be to bring the storm down on Rivington Street. He stood in the cold, watching the windows of the tenement. He saw Clara's light go on, a soft square of yellow against the brick. He imagined her in there, boiling water for tea, perhaps looking out the window. He realized, with a sudden, sharp pang, that he would never sit on the stairs with her again. For days he stayed away, sleeping in a flophouse near the docks, waiting for the car to leave. But the message had been delivered. The rebellion in the streets was growing, and his father's health was failing. The Crown, as the business was known in the family, was facing a revolt from the workers and the shareholders alike. He was being summoned to return, to take his place and quell the uprising. His time as a hidden man was over. When he finally returned to the tenement to collect his few belongings, it was a Sunday morning. The hallway was quiet, bathed in the pale grey light of early spring. Elias packed his bags slowly, his hands trembling as he folded the rough shirts he had bought on Orchard Street. He felt a deep sense of shame, not for his heritage, but for the deception. He had lived among them, shared their air, and listened to their struggles, all while knowing he was one of the architects of their hardship. He opened his door to leave, and Clara was there. She was coming up the stairs, carrying a pail of coal. She stopped when she saw him, his packed bag in his hand. The silence between them stretched, heavy with things they had never said. "You were leaving," she stated. It wasn't a question. Elias looked at her, taking in the sight of her face for the last time. He wanted to tell her everything. He wanted to tell her that he wasn't really Elias, that he had money, that he could take her away from the cold and the coal dust. He wanted to confess that he loved the sound of her breathing in the hallway and the strength of her hands, but the words died in his throat. To say them would be an insult to the reality they had shared. He was leaving. He was returning to his world of high walls and iron gates. She was staying. Any promise he made would be a lie. "I have to go," Elias said simply. "My family, they need me." Clara looked down at the pail of coal, then back up at him. She had always suspected there was something different about him, something refined and buried. She saw it now in the way he stood, the resignation in his posture. She understood, in the way women of the city often understood, that their lives were governed by forces larger than themselves. "Will you come back?" she asked. Elias shook his head slowly. "No." Clara nodded. She stepped aside to let him pass. As he walked past her, he stopped. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, silver pocket watch. It was an expensive thing, engraved with his initials, the only remnant of his old life he had kept. He pressed it into her hand. "For luck," he whispered. Her fingers closed around the cold metal. She didn't look at the watch. She only looked at him. Her eyes were dry, but he saw the shimmer of tears in the dim light. She squeezed his hand, a brief, firm pressure that carried all the love and farewell they had never spoken. "Goodbye, Elias," she said. He walked down the stairs, out of the building, and into the waiting black car. As it drove away, merging into the traffic of the city, he did not look back at the window. Years passed. The city changed. The old tenements were slowly replaced by taller structures, and the horse-drawn carts gave way to automobiles. The hidden heir returned to his place at the head of the railroad empire. He married a suitable woman from a similar background, as was expected, and he attended the opera and the galas. He became the man his father wanted him to be. steering the company through strikes and economic depressions. But he never forgot the stairs on Rivington Street. He often found himself standing in front of the windows of his penthouse office, looking down at the sprawl of the city, searching for the Lower East Side, hidden behind the newer skyscrapers. He wondered about the girl with the red hands. He wondered if she had kept the watch, or if she had sold it to pay for a warm coat or a month's rent. He hoped she had found a way to be happy, that she had found someone who could stay. The rebellion he had faced was not just the one in the boardrooms or the factories, but the one in his own heart, the constant, quiet war between duty and desire. He had chosen duty, as men of his station often did,